Well, good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Monday, June 26, 2023. And our top story today, if you're a Netflix subscriber, you better watch out for this scam. And joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Mark Huffman is with Consumer Affairs. Mark, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Well, thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, this is an important topic, and as I let you know in the green room, we had done a show last week about elderly scams, and that's obviously a very important topic. We'll talk more about that with you in a couple of minutes, but let's kick off about an interesting scam that really intrigued us at the Broadcast Retirement Network. Now that Netflix has kind of condensed or said you can't share passwords, there's actually a Netflix scam going around. What is that scam, and how do we prevent it?
Well, you're exactly right. And that was the key, because scammers like to follow the news. And Netflix was in the news a few weeks ago when they announced that they weren't going to let you share your login or your account with people outside your household. So there was a lot of discussion about that on social media. And Netflix began contacting members with information about that. Well, scammers said, well, that's a good idea. We'll contact people too. And so they pretended to be Netflix and directed people to go to a fake website that looked like Netflix and log in, provide your login information. Well, that was the objective. They weren't trying to steal money. They wanted the login information because they could sell that, and that would produce money. Now, we came to find out more about that scam because of our partnership with Trend Micro, a cybersecurity firm. And each week we do the Consumer Affairs Trend Micro threat alert, and they give us like 5 or 6 hot scams. And that was one that was trending very heavily. That keeps us kind of up to date on what the bad guys are up to.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's an opportunity for them. The question is, how do we prevent that? And you mentioned, so first of all, there's a spoof website that they've created. It looks just like Netflix, except it's not really Netflix. How do you identify whether an email is legit or not? I mean, I've taken to looking at the URL or the domain and the email address itself. You got to be astute to do that. But
you have to look carefully, because they will slightly misspell Netflix. They'll insert a number maybe that they hope you don't notice. And also, most scam websites are not secure websites. They're not HTTPS. So if that S is not there, and again, that's a minuscule thing, but you just have to be alert and not take it at face value that, people are who they say they are.
Yeah.
Because 90% of scams now are imposter scams.
Yeah, I mean, they're just people pretending to be a company, pretending to be a real person, pretending to be a bank. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about some of those other scams. I just want to shift. I mean, this is a big one. Netflix obviously has, I think it's probably the biggest streaming service. It's certainly been around for a while. I mean, it's the one that kind of clobbered Blockbuster, if people remember Blockbuster. But let's talk about some of the other scams. And there are banking scams. There are we just saw information from the CFPB about PayPal, Venmo, those types of apps. What are some of the other scams that you're running into?
Well, in terms of bank scams, if somebody makes a fraudulent purchase with your credit card, your credit card company is probably really quick to flag you or ask you about it. Sometimes it's a legitimate charge you made, but they're erring on the side of caution. So scammers are sending people text messages and saying, we're your bank. Did you make this $3,400 purchase? And you say, heavens no. And so, okay, well, hit yes or no. And then immediately they call you and pretending to be your bank and say, well, we'll help you get your money back. And in the process, they glean all types of information from you, including all your account information, so that they can, there was no $3,400 charge, but after you talk to them, they've taken all your money because they've had your login information because you just gave it to them.
And when you look at the figures that you get from Trend Micro, who is, I mean, like I mentioned to you, we've done some work with talking about elderly scams, but does it really run the gamut in terms of who's being scammed? Like people my age, your age, younger. I mean, younger people who I would think would be relatively sophisticated. Are they getting scammed as well?
Yeah, I talked to a fraud expert, and millennials tend to be very trusting of technology because they've grown up with it. And so when they get a message on their phone, their default sometimes is, oh, this is real. You know, this is not unexpected. And they tend to be a little too trusting.
Yeah.
Boomers, on the other hand, they fall for some scams, but some, you know, they've lived long enough that they're a little wiser sometimes, a little more skeptical.
I was going to say, if you've seen the first Terminator, that's all you need to know, right? I mean, that might create a little bit of skepticism, but in all seriousness, it's a big problem, and you want to be trustful. But I think experience, man, that is a good teacher, right? Experience is a good teacher. Mark, I need to take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about more scams you need to be aware of, including Social Security, Medicare, and a lot more. You're going to want to stay tuned right here. And I have a
dangerous new scam that we heard of just recently, and it is so clever. It is so clever.
So Mark, it just gave the perfect segue. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're joined this morning by Mark Huffman of Consumer Affairs. Mark, thanks so much for sticking with us this morning. Really appreciate you hanging around for segment number 2.
Yes.
All right. So you teased it. I was going to go to a commercial break, but you teased it yourself. Let's talk about some innovation that I hate to give credit to these people because they're somewhere else and they're hurting people. Basically,
Yeah,
They're
they
taking
are.
money
I
out
mean,
of-
yeah, we don't want to, we don't want to glorify this,
No,
but
we're not. Yeah, go ahead.
if you know about it, you're less likely to be taken advantage of. So a scammer calls a hotel anywhere in America at 3 a.m. And the clerk answers and he says, room 251, please. Well, if you happen to be sound asleep in room 251, your telephone's ringing at 3 a.m. And so you somewhat groggily answer it. And the scammer says, I'm sorry to disturb you, sir, but this is the front desk. We've had a computer crash and we've lost your credit card information. If you wouldn't mind, could you please give it to us now? Well, you're half asleep. It doesn't sound implausible. So you give them the credit card information. And by the time you've awakened, they've sold it on the dark web and somebody's using it to buy a big screen TV somewhere.
Yeah. So I guess the way I would handle that is if someone called me in the middle of the night wanting my credit card, I would say, look, I'll be down the first thing in the morning. If you want to rerun my card, is that the best way to prevent
just
it?
hang up the phone and call the front desk. I'm sorry, we were cut off. Did you try to call me a minute ago and say your computer crashed and you need my credit card information? No. So that would be the way to handle it.
And I want to
But
ask
most
you about,
people, they just like, oh, okay, well, that sounds reasonable. I'll give you my credit card at 3 a.m.
Right. And I think part of it is we're just bombarded, right? We're bombarded
Right.
with information. People are on their phones all the time looking at Facebook, Twitter, or Meta, Twitter,
Yeah.
TikTok. But also, it doesn't sound implausible. But if you're half listening, and you could be the smartest person in the room, you could be the not as smart person in the room. Everybody is getting impacted to this. And it's maybe, Mark, it's about how do you prevent this? It's more about focus, be in the moment, realize, hey, is this legit? Have critical thinking and critical reasoning skills, apply them here.
And being able to identify the red flags, because all scams have to follow a certain pattern. And these are red flags that if you're aware of them, you'll instantly, or maybe not instantly, but you'll come to recognize what's happening. The first is a sense of urgency. You have to act now. And it's either something good or something bad, but you have to act immediately. The second is secrecy. You can't tell anyone what you're doing. The third, which is the biggest, is you have to pay, but you have to pay in gift cards.
It's so creepy.
It is. And it makes no sense at all, but the scammer has to be paid in a way that can't be traced and can't be retrieved. And once you give the scammer the number on the gift card, you've basically given them the amount of money that's on the gift card.
Absolutely. They can go to Amazon, they can go to the store online and buy whatever they want, or transact that and give that to sell it to somebody else. Mark, I can't let you go. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we did a show on the elderly and the scams and abuse that they're facing. But I just want to, maybe just for our general audience, let's talk about Social Security. That Social Security number is such an important number, even though it's been removed from statements and other pieces of information that we get in the mail. It's still a driver of information, and a lot of systems still key off of it. You really need to watch what you do with that Social Security information.
Right. And you mentioned these Social Security scams. Some scammers call and claim to be from Social Security. And, we're going to cancel your number if you don't take a certain action. Well, Social Security doesn't, these are government workers we're talking about. They don't take the time to call individuals. If Social Security wants to communicate with you, they will do so using the US mail. And anything else you should ignore.
Yeah, it's just sad that in some of the, and a lot of this, Mark, is coming from emerging markets where
A lot of
there's
it's
a lot
offshore.
of people. Yeah, a lot of it's offshore. They have no extradition treaties, or we have no extradition treaty with that country. So even if you can find them, you can bring them down. But these are multi-million-dollar enterprises. It's like almost like a drug cartel, or it's a crime syndicate in a way. It's really hard to bring these things down.
And they operate in teams now. They're very sophisticated. It's not just one, sometimes it's two or three that they hand you off, which builds credibility. It sounds like you're dealing with a real company or enterprise. Do I have time for one more scam?
Yeah, hit me with one more scam. We've got about a minute and 10 seconds.
This is a targeted scam. Sometimes scammers will send out millions of emails and they don't care who gets them. This targets Xfinity cable TV subscribers. And the scam is you're offered 2 years at 50% discount, but you have to pay the first year up front with, guess what? Target gift cards. And they explain that by saying, well, it's a joint promotion with Target, which really doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make any
that's
sense
supposed to alleviate your concerns. And right after I wrote the story, I got a voicemail from one of these people. I'm a Xfinity subscriber, and it was just the whole deal, just like I described it.
Yeah,
and I've gotten a letter from one or two readers who said they were. What happened was that the scammers got into Xfinity's computer system, and they had subscriber information, so they were only targeting Xfinity subscribers.
Right, and so that added a level of legitimacy.
Right. Yeah.
And again, you have to apply this. I think what we're doing here is more awareness than anything. We're not selling product or service. We're just providing awareness. Right. It's all about educating yourself and being aware and applying that critical thinking, which, look, let's face it, we're all bombarded with information. It's really hard to do sometimes. Mark, we're going to have to leave it there. Great to see you as always. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon. And that wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the latest curated news and lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, so much more, and all in one place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives, check out our latest content, visit our website, and of course, all of our streaming partners. We're back again tomorrow for another edition of BRN AM. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes. Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the First Lifestyle and Wellness Network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.
Tax audits, tax liens, wage garnishments.
Every day we hear stories like this about good folks who are simply struggling to pay their bills. Each of them are living a frightening IRS tax nightmare, and they are afraid it will destroy their lives.
I'm a divorced single mom, and my ex-husband left me and the kids with a lot of unpaid bills, including unpaid taxes. I was really starting to show my stress on my kids because the IRS had sent me a letter demanding a huge payment from me. I couldn't afford it. So then the IRS was threatening to garnish my wages. I'm already living paycheck to paycheck. That would have put me over the edge financially.
It truly seemed hopeless, but then a friend at work told her to call the tax relief line.
The people at the tax relief line They told me about something called Innocent Spouse Relief. They worked it out so that all of the taxes from my ex are not my problem. I don't know how that works, and I don't care. All I care about is that I don't owe the IRS a dime, and they are not going to take my paycheck.
Even if it seems hopeless, you should call the number on your screen right now. There is absolutely no cost for the call or the consultation. You are under no obligation. If you are worried that the IRS could garnish your wages, seize your assets, even take your home, call us right now. The Tax Relief Line is here to help you. Now you have a knowledgeable, professional team of tax experts that are ready to negotiate with the IRS and fight for you to save you money. The Tax Relief Line's professionals have successfully negotiated thousands of cases, reducing and sometimes even eliminating the tax debt for their clients. It's very easy to get started. Simply call the number on your screen right now. You don't have to live in fear anymore. The call and the consultation are free.